Here's bank shot to the outside. Going in. They're in the gate. And they're off. And Sounds Lucky, very alert out of the gate. Wolf Hill has speed, as does Soul's Sister. Then comes Getting Closer. Miss Watermelon did not have a good beginning and is now a bit erratic, drifting out into the first turn. She's 4 lengths off the leader, and another 2 back to Banzai Betty. They come to the 6 furlong pole, and Juan Hernandez and Sounds Lucky setting the pace, leading it by 3/4 of a length. Wolf Hill between horses, and bank shot is 3 deep. Then comes Soul's Sister. Miss Watermelon moves her head into the 4th spot. She's 2.5 lengths off the lead, followed by Getting Closer and Banzai Betty at the back of a fairly compact field. They have 4.5 furlongs to go. And it Sounds Lucky in front, getting a test and challenge from Bankshot. And Bankshot is the new leader with a half-mile left to go. Wolf Hill in 3rd. Miss Watermelon 4th, 2 lengths off the lead. Down at the rails, Soul's Sister, followed by Getting Closer. And Banzai Betty is asked to pick it up from behind. Bankshot shakes loose now, and Bankshot has a 3-length lead midway on the far turn. Wolf Hill in 2nd, Miss Watermelon into 3rd, joined by Getting Closer on the outside with some nice momentum. As the field turns for home, Bankshot and Wolf Hill squaring off. Bankshot short lead. On the outside, Wolf Hill moves to engage. Bankshot digging in, 1 furlong out a length. On the outside, Wolf Hill just keeps on coming. Wolf Hill on the outside, and Bankshot have it to themselves. Bankshot, Wolf Hill on the outside, and Diego Herrera, Bankshot and Adrian Escobedo. Here is the line, and Bankshot holds on. Wolf Hill was 2nd, Getting Closer 3rd, Soul's Sister finished 4th. Early pick 4, 7 Tom Star, the jockey Armando Ayuso. They're in the gate. And they're off. Molly Jensen bounces out very smartly and goes straight to the front. Going Great Guns and Celestial Skies is racing in between those two as they run toward the half-mile pole. On the far outside, Tom Star is next. East Boca Kibitz is only 3 lengths off the lead. A hard-ridden Lucky Nia is down at the rail, and a half dozen to Dancing Through Fire. Down the backstretch and Going Great Guns on even terms with Molly Jensen. These two are fighting it out. Then comes East Boca Kibitz, 1 from the outside. Tom Star 4 deep into the far turn. 2 more back to Lucky Nia. Celestial Skies just went by that one. And another 2 to Dancing Through Fire. 1/4 mile to go, and Molly Jensen goes on with it. It's Molly Jensen, East Boca Kibitz on the outside, a length back 2nd. Another 4 back to Tom Star in 3rd. They're in the final furlong, and Molly Jensen with a 3-length lead. East Boca Kibitz trying so hard on the outside and coming back for more. It's Molly Jensen, a length and a half. East Boca Kibitz in 2nd. It will be Molly Jensen. Molly Jensen all the way, a length and a half. East Boca Kibitz 2nd. Then it was a photo between Celestial Skies and Dancing Through Fire. In the gate. And they're off. Not the quickest of beginnings for Tiger Fire. Reckless Optimism is going out for the lead with Lena Lingard. Here's a Toast to Lanny shooting through on the inside, and a Toast to Lanny is quickest. Now Tiger Fire gets going, moves up to claim 2nd. Reckless Optimism is on the inside 3rd. Lena Lingard is 4th with about 2.5 lengths to make up. Then comes Headstrong Ways, racing on the outside of Walking the Beach. Then it's a gap of 4 to the 2 trailers, Mia Mack and Selse is the trailer. They're coming toward the quarter pole. The favorites dueling up top. It's a Toast to Lanny on the inside. Tiger Fire with the head in front. Lena Lingard is in third, and they're followed by Headstrong Ways, who's caught 4 wide. These 4 are dominating as they line up, coming to the furlong pole. On the inside, a Toast to Lanny under serious pressure. Lena Lingard takes the lead, challenged now by Headstrong Ways. And Headstrong Ways, with all the momentum, waves goodbye. Headstrong Ways and Tiago Pereira, handridden late to score by almost 3. Lena Lingard was second, a Toast to Lanny third. Close photo for fourth between Tiger Fire and Celse. We're in the gate. And they're off. A very awkward start for Maury Wills. Omnificent, High King, both out alertly. They're joined by Otto's Magic, who takes second. Down at the rail, Infinitum is 3 lengths off the lead and tugging pretty hard at the rail, and they're joined 3 wide by Maury Wills. It's Omnificent and Otto's Magic bucking heads on the front end. Infinitum down on the inside, really tugging at the bit, needs some racing room. In between horses, High King. Maury Wills now a clear-cut third as they come to the 3/8 pole, and Otto's Magic takes over, opens up a length and a half comfortably on Omnificent in second. Then comes Maury Wills. Infinitum is now angled between rivals to try and get to the front runner, Otto's Magic, and High King trails. They pass the quarter pole and turn for home. Otto's Magic, Infinitum now with a clear shot and starts to really storm home at the rail. There's 1 furlong to go, and Otto's Magic fighting hard to maintain this lead at the rail. Infinitum's trying to get by. 2 lengths back to Maury Wills. Otto's Magic, Infinitum, Infinitum. A mile the best, and he put his head down when it mattered. Otto's Magic, a gallant second. Maury Wills was third. They're in the gate. A little bit of restlessness toward the outside 3 stalls. And they're off. Bluegrass Go-Go bounces out on top, immediately joined by What's the Buzz, and just inside of them comes Dirty Word. So there's a nice scramble for the early lead. Then comes Spiritist in fourth, 4 lengths off the lead, followed by Broadway Union's Unbreakable Trust, 2 lengths in front of Naval Harbor, and Cupid's Crusader is the distant trailer. 3 furlongs out, and it's Dirty Word showing the way, opening it up to just about a length. What's the Buzz trying to keep pace second. Bluegrass Go-Go coming back for more on the outside. They're followed by Broadway Unions in fourth, a half length to Spiritist, 4 clear of Naval Harbor. Unbreakable Trust as the field turns for home. Dirty Words cuts the corner and has opened up a 4-length lead as Broadway Unions moves up on the inside to take second. Then Bluegrass Go-Go, Spiritist on the extreme outside, and a late run from Cupid's Crusader, who was nowhere, eye-catching, getting a piece of it, but it was a blowout for Dirty Words by 9 lengths. Second to Broadway Unions. Cupid's Crusader was third in front of Naval Harbor. We're in the gate. And they're off. Hawker came out smoothly on the inside. Here's Style Cat sprinting up, as is Simple Song along the inside. And so it's Simple Song now taking over. Opening up nearly a length on Style Cat. Da Capo in the green moves up to claim third. They are followed by Comedy Town, who's on the outside of Whiskey, Gin, and Brandy. 2 more back to Hawker are Heisman. The 2 trailers see through it, and Red Flag is at the back of the field, not just went by that rival. 3/8 of a mile to run, and the leader is Simple Song. Opens up a length and a half on Da Capo in second. The gray is Comedy Town, vying for third, taking that spot for himself now. Down at the rails, Style Cat is hard ridden. A wide bid from R. Heisman in the pink, and just behind him, Red Flag now cuts the corner inside of him and has to get to Simple Song, who's built up a 4-length lead. Red Flag is really coming, though, and Red Flag eating up the ground with each and every stride under Umberto Rispoli, blowing by Simple Song late, and a nice run from See Through It. It will be Red Flag to win it by 2.5. See Through It nabbed second. Photo Simple Song and our Heisman. It's realized that I did not acknowledge Mark Glatt when he won his second race of the day. Love to always celebrate the... You're in the gate. And they're off. Stop Digging is going straight to the front. Quantum Energy. Here's Ms. Club Cali coming through along the inside rapidly. And Nancy Griffith is on the outside of rivals. Into the first turn, Ms. Club Cali now hugs that rail and leads by a half length. Stop Digging, the favorite, is alongside in second. Quantum Energy. California Rocks racing in between rivals. Nancy Griffith outside of them. And Nothing Is Forever patiently handled through the early stages. Onto the backstretch, Ms. Club Cali pressed by Stop Digging. Nancy Griffith just a length and a half off them in third, and Quantum Energy keeping her pace in fourth. Another 2 back to California Rocks, and Nothing Is Forever. They're a half mile out. Ms. Club Cali opens it up to nearly a length. Stop Digging, very comfortable, however, and cuts right back into that margin coming into the 3/8 ball. And Stop Digging applies serious pressure to Ms. Club Cali now. Nancy Griffith joins the party 3 deep as Stop Digging takes the lead. Nancy Griffith goes with her. Ms. Club Cali is now back to third. They're followed by Quantum Energy in fourth as Nancy Griffith has her head in front at the top of the stretch. Stop Digging battles right back. Stop Digging and Nancy Griffith nose to nose inside the final 1/8 of a mile. Behind them, Quantum Energy is in third. Stop Digging, Juan Hernandez, Nancy Griffith, and Edwin Maldonado, neither giving an inch as they come for the wire. Stop Digging. Stop Digging outruns Nancy Griffith. Nothing Is Forever from last to get third in front of Quantum Energy. Stop Digging, the favorite, is alongside in second. Quantum Energy. California Rocks racing in between rivals. Nancy Griffith outside of them. And Nothing Is Forever patiently handled through the early stages. Onto the backstretch, Ms. Club Cali pressed by Stop Digging. Nancy Griffith, just a length and a half. Super High Five wagering offered on the 8th, which goes off in 25 minutes. Scratch number 13. Bring it. In the gate, and they're off. Fast start for Jimmy Delivers. Kiki Ride. Tascadero's in between those two, and they are now joined by One Step Beyond down on the inside, currently in third. Matt's Advisor, fifth, now taking fourth. As Gentleman Rancher tries to make some headway racing in between horses, 3 lengths off the lead as the field moves into the far turn. Lanzador is just outside of that rival. Tascadero's now losing ground steadily, followed by Voucher. Wasted Warrior is next. It's another couple of lengths to Lamada Avenue outside the 2 trailers, Jamal, and One Happy Dude is at the back of the field with a 1/4 mile to go, and Kiki Ride is the narrow leader at the top of the stretch. Wasted Warrior is starting to wind up from way out of it, has about 8 lengths to make up. In the meantime, Lanzador has come to challenge, and in behind horses closing is Voucher. Extreme outside coming with a big run is One Happy Dude, erupting in the center of the racetrack, and One Happy Dude runs him down, giving Pereira a double. One step beyond finished second. Kiki Ride was third. The rest between Wasted Warrior, Voucher, and Lanzador.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to a special Thursday day of racing here at Sandy. A good 9-race card beginning at noon, including 2 stake races. The Eddie Logan and the Robert J. Frankel is going to be a great gambling card. And the good news is Mother Nature has departed. She's released her death grip on Southern California. To give you an idea how much rain we had in downtown Los Angeles, which is nowhere near where we're located here in Arcadia, California, they've had 14 inches of rain since Christmas week. Generally speaking, on an average basis, every year we get 3 inches of rain, so almost 4 times the amount of rain. Again, a big tip of the cap to the track maintenance crew, both on the main track and the turf course. As you can see on the graphic, the main track is fast and the turf course is firm. Our seminar guest today, he's been handicapping the horses for over 4 decades. He's also an owner and a breeder. He runs a horse in today's first race. He's also starting a new workout service that we'll talk about. His name, Aaron Hesz. Aaron, happy Thursday. Welcome to the seminar.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
It's great to have you here. Now let's first talk about the filly you run in race number 1, Suntory Time.
Correct.
Suntory Time, the dam was lost in translation. I wanted to ask you a question, Aaron. I went back and looked at the past performances for Lost in Translation. You claimed her in race number 3 for $50,000. She had no sort of form whatsoever at that point. You and your partners decided to put her on the turf course, and you guys banked over $150,000. Why did you take her that particular afternoon for $50,000?
Okay, so at the time when I was Brice Blanc's agent, for the Del Mar winter meet, I was down at Del Mar and Brice was up at Santa Anita. And I watched this filly work a few different times. And I was really impressed. And the trainer who had her had 1 horse, which I don't generally like to claim. So the filly ran a couple of different times. And my feeling was she wanted to run long on the grass. And he ran her down. She ran the filly down the hill, ran her on the dirt. In her third start, she ran her for 50. And I said, this filly has to be worth that. We claimed her. She ran terrible the day we took her. And I actually claimed her with Ron Ellis.
Correct.
And
I'm looking at the PP. She was 2-1 that afternoon when you claimed her way back in 2017.
Yeah. And so she was a very nervous filly when we got her. We ran her a couple of times, and then Ron and I had a little falling out. And one of my partners had used Richard Baltus with all of his horses, and he suggested giving it to her. I had no problem with that, as good a trainer as Richard is. And she just really flourished once we got her going long on the grass, and we figured out her style, that she wanted to be a front-running grass filly. And she was a very fun filly to own, and it was an enjoyable experience to have her.
She earned $179,000 throughout her racing career. Most of that, the majority of that, when you guys owned her. This is her first full Suntory Time.
Correct.
She's had 2 starts. We'll take a look at her a little bit later after Frank gives us some scratches. But her debut was impressive. Her second effort, not so much. Now she's coming back from a layoff. She has one work at Sandy. The work before that were at San Luis Rey.
Correct.
That's one of the areas that you visit for your workout report. Have you seen her work at San Luis Rey? And how do you feel about her coming into this race?
Yes, I've seen every work she's had just about, and she's doing well. She's never going to really wow you in the AM. She's never been a particularly great workhorse, especially on dirt. She just doesn't really care for dirt. Her work up here was a lot better than anything she'd ever done there, and I think she really liked the synthetic. She worked with a really good stakes filly who's in later on the card named Watchtower, and Mike Smith happened to do us a favor and work her that morning. She broke off a length and a half in front. Watchtower caught her very quickly. They went together to the wire, and Mike told me that my filly had more horse than Watchtower, and she galloped out all the way to the half-mile pole, just absolutely full of run, as though she really, really liked the synthetic surface.
Aaron, when you were talking about Lost in Translation, you talked about how she was working well in the morning. Do you think workouts is maybe one of the last frontiers of handicapping where you can get a handicapping edge?
I think it depends. I think you have to use it judiciously. I mean, there are certain horses that are just really good workhorses and they don't perform in the afternoon. There are certain horses that don't work well and they just run. So I think knowing the horse is as important as anything else. But what my niche is, what I try to do is try to figure out what I think a horse wants to do and then base it off
the workouts.
Or watching it run more so than even workouts. But obviously before they run, you have to have some kind of gauge.
You started a new workout service. It's called SoCal Workouts. Let's show the graphic for that. It's relatively new. It's in its infancy stages. But why did you decide to start SoCal Workouts?
Well, for many years, I worked for Handicappers Report, which I felt was always the premier workout service. And the person who owned the service, Steve McDonald, passed away last year. And I felt there was a need for it. I know that there are several other workout services, but I felt like our works were really well done, and it's something that the horse player could benefit from. So starting at Del Mar summer meet, we started it up, and it's progressed. We're getting a lot more clients, and some big name trainers have purchased it, and I'm happy with the way it's going, and we're continuing to try to make it the best product it can be.
And it's a pretty voluminous type of product on a daily basis, because I've had a chance to take a look at it. It's not just a 1 or 2 line sentence. You go in detail about the work, who they're working with, what the splits are like, how they finish the work. I mean, I think that's what separates you from the other workout services out there.
I agree. And, that's a pro or a con. There are a lot of people who just want to know, give me the grade and move on. I don't really want to read about the work. And then there are people like me who care about every word that's written. And I've got my people who are detractors and then people who really enjoy it. And I try to do the best job I can for those who really want detailed about workouts.
You can find snippets of SoCal Workouts on X, or Twitter as it's been formerly known before. SoCal Workouts is the Twitter address. There's the logo right there. And of course, Aaron, as I mentioned, in the early stages. But take a look.
And I want to thank Michelle Yu for that logo.
I had no idea. She does a lot of things.
Michelle Yu is the one who came up with that. And she's been very beneficial with a lot of the social media presence. And she's the one who made that logo, so she gets full credit.
She's multi-talented, that's for sure. One quick question before we go to break, Aaron. I talked about you being a handicapper for at least 4 decades. What made you fall in love with the sport?
When I was 13, I went to the races for the first time. I can still remember the horses that ran that day. The stake race was Ibakachi and Bo's Eagle, and the first horse I ever saw run the first race was a horse named White Rammer who won, so that's how long ago it was. I love the ability to figure out the puzzle. That was what drew me to it. And as I got older, the horse is definitely, to me, more intriguing than anything else. But what better way is it? I mean, things are a lot different than they were in the late 70s and early 80s when I first started going. But you just have to roll with the times and the changes that have occurred, and some are better and some are not as good.
It's the mental challenge of handicapping as well as the love for the equine. I think we can all share in that. We're going to find out who Aaron likes on today's 9-race card. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get the early changes on a very solid Thursday card here at the Great Race Place.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the Great Race Place. The track is fast, the turf is firm, and the rail on the turf out 30 feet. Here are the early changes. In the first race, scratch 10 Syntax, scratch 11 Siempre Naman, and scratch number 12 Silver Flirt. The first starts the early pick 5. In race 2, no changes. Turning to the third race. Scratch number 5, Plutarch, 6, Caro Buono. 5 and 6 are out. Turning to race 4. The fourth starts the pick 6, just the blinker note. In the fifth race, start of the late pick 5 and all turf pick 3, scratch number 2, Don't Tell Our Wives. Moving on to race number 6. In the 6th, just the one blinker note, the 6th race is the start of the late pick 4. In the 7th race, Start of the $3 late pick 3. There are no changes. Race 8, $5 late double offered with no changes. And in the 9th race, scratch number 10, Mutaz, and scratch number 11, Kiddo Light. Those are the changes for today's program. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place, where post time is 57 minutes away. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner. Tom's special guest today is Aaron Hesz, handicapper and workout analyst. You can find him on X at SoCal Workouts.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with Aaron Hesz. He is a handicapper, owner, breeder, and a workout analyst. His new report on a daily basis is SoCal Workouts. You can find that on X, where he previews his best work of the day each and every race day here in Southern California. Aaron, let's get right into it in race number 1, which, as you well know, begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. We're on the turf course going 1 mile, maiden special weight Calbred, fillies and mares. A field of 9 after the scratches of the also eligibles, 10, 11, and 12. The original morning line favorite was number 5, Warm Reception from the Peter Miller barn, ridden by Umberto Rispoli. Umberto riding 5 morning line favorites on today's 9-race card, but the current betting choice at 2-1 is your filly, number 7, Suntory Time. As you mentioned, trained by Richie Baltzis. We know that you like her, but for the rest of the viewing audience, let's watch her debut as they turn for home. This debut was way back on February 22nd. She's going to be easy to find because she's going to be trailing the field. She's wearing saddlecloth number 7. What I want you to watch is her performance coming down the lane, and also equally important, the gallop out as well. So let's watch Suntory Time's debut back on February 22nd and listen to Frank Miramati describe the action.
At the top of the stretch, and Odie's Memory Lane turns for home, still in front by 3, Guilty of Having Fun, trying her best in second. Orange Thunder on the inside of Hello Kiddo. They're coming to the 16th pole. Odie's Memory Lane, the lead is diminishing. Guilty of Having Fun is coming, as is Orange Thunder with the red blinkers coming best of all. Orange Thunder on the outside, gets up.
Aaron, that was your filly on the rail. We're watching the gallop out here in the kind of pink orchid silks with the black cap, Mike Smith in the saddle. Unfortunately, I don't pay you at this point on the clubhouse turn, but certainly she ran well the farther the distance was.
Yeah, she galloped out like half a furlong in front by the time they got to the 7/8 pole. And it was a really good schooling race. It was her debut going long, which it's very difficult to do. And I thought Mike did a great job. Her second race, I was really disappointed. I thought she'd run much better than she did. She got hammered that day in the betting, and she was just a really dull 4th. We found out after the race she had a little tiny non-displaced chip in her knee. It was a very simple procedure. We gave her all the time she needed. She should have enough works and bottom in her. She has been in training for quite a while, capped off by what we talked about before, her half-mile work over the synthetic here.
Is there enough speed in the race to flatter her late kick?
It's the one thing that I'm a little bit worried about. I'm hoping she doesn't have to be as slow as she's been in her first 2 starts. She hasn't broken either time. We have done some gate work with her. But I think the filly to beat for that very reason is the 4, Sassafras. The one time that she was able to make the lead going long was her best race, where she ran 3rd. Her last start, she was completely eliminated at the start. I think she's going to get to control the race here, and she's probably the filly to catch. I think the key to betting on this race is I do not like the horses exiting the race won by Ride Gold, which many of these horses exit. I just didn't think that was a very good race that day. So I think Suntory Time, if she gets enough pace to run at and she's ready to run, should be tough to beat. And the filly to beat is Sassafras.
It's interesting here in your top 2 selections, number 7, Suntory Time, number 4, Sassafras, both taking action compared to their morning line. You're now down to 2-1, and Sassafras 15-1 on the morning line, now down to 7-2 with 53 minutes to post. Let's turn the page, take a look at race number 2. We're back on the main track, 1 mile of the distance. $16,000 claimers. It also begins race 2, the 50-cent early pick 4. We've got a field of 8, the morning line favorite, number 4, Maniatic from the George Papadromo barn, 5-2 on the morning line. Before we get your handicapping thoughts, Aaron, you wanted to show a replay for Big Juanito. This is a replay back at Del Mar on November 16th. You're going to see in this replay, Big Juanito is wearing saddlecloth number 4. Makes somewhat of a premature and early move, but rather than me describe it, let's listen to Larry Comas describe the action of Big Juanito's last race back on November 16th and watch the runner wearing saddlecloth number 4.
Venture out for the front. Mischief's Causeway on the outside with speed between those two. Sent along is Great King as they make their way into that first turn. So it's these three who will lead the way, with Cody Boy right behind them on the rail in fourth. So they make their way around that first turn, and it will be Great King the leader. Great King now by a half a length, with Mischief's Causeway on the outside, running in second by a length and a half, followed by 406 Creed, who's up into third. And then it's Field of Magic, Big Juanito to the outside, Joint Venture down toward the rail. Behind them, Impossible Task well out into the course and moving up. Then Low Expectations, Cody Boy in behind that group, and the trailer is Veritas Equitas. 22.8 was the opening quarter mile. Up the backstretch they go. Great King, Mischief's Causeway, and to their outside, Big Juanito. It's these three right together, just ahead of Joint Venture, 406 Creed, and a three-wide Field of Magic. Seventh behind them is Low Expectations, just 4.5 lengths off the lead, followed by Cody Boy, Veritas Equitas, and Impossible Task. 46.88 was the half mile. Around the far turn, Great King is the leader. And circling up on the outside, Field of Magic is now taken second. They're stride for stride. Behind them, Mischief's Causeway. Big Juanito is next. Joint Venture is down toward the inside. Low Expectations getting going now. And moving quickly on the outside, but with Field of Magic to catch and a furlong to do it. Field of Magic from Low Expectations on the outside. Joint Venture third, trying to fight on between those two. Has a shot as well. These three are going to come down to the wire together. Three-way photo finish. Here's the wire. It's tight. Was it?
Aaron, for the replay for Suntory Time, we talked about how they don't pay off at the 7/8 pole. Unfortunately, in the replay we just watched for Big Juanito, they don't pay off at the far turn as well. Big Juanito made that big early move, three wide going down the backside. Unfortunately, had nothing left, but they switched jocks to Mirko DeMuro, and that's who's won on this horse the last two times out for our good friend Kurt Hoover, who's part owner.
Exactly. And when you have a horse with a certain style, which this horse is definitely established, he wants to make one run, that kind of ride's not going to benefit you very much. And the kicker to it is, going into the race, there appeared to be a lot of speed. So it appeared that he had the right style to be effective, and that was a much, much tougher starter 16. Well, I think after Anton Georgi's premature wide out run that took all the starch out of the horse. Well, this race is going to set up a lot differently. You've got Contrary Chieftain on the inside, Crypto Ride, and I think they're both going to go, and I think the pace should be honest, and I think DeMuro is going to be a lot more patient aboard Big Juanito. He's trained well since the race. I think they're doing the right thing. They're keeping him above his claim level, but certainly taking a much easier route than they have in his last few races, and I look for a much better effort from Big Juanito. Crypto Ride's probably the horse to beat. I thought his win at Del Mar was very game the other day. I saw his work at San Luis the other day. He was lightly urged, worked okay, and he's probably the main threat. But I do really like number 2, Big Juanito, today. I think he's going to bounce back with a much different ride from DeMuro.
Race number 3 is our first stakes race on today's card. It's the Eddie Logan Stakes. It's for 3-year-olds going 1 mile on the turf course. We've got a field of 5 after 2 scratches. Take out both numbers 5 and 6, the morning line favorite, and certainly the betting choice come post time will be number 2, Stark Contrast. Before I talk about Stark Contrast, I want to pay tribute to Eddie Logan. For those of you who might not know, he was the longtime shoeshine man here at Sandy. It's sitting right outside, or I should say setting up shop right outside the racing office. Aaron, I know you walked by Eddie many, many times. To give you an idea, when I say long time, he started on opening day here in 1934, and he worked until his passing at the age of 98 in 2008. Talk about a love affair with Sanita. He certainly had it, and I'm honored to be representing him in the Eddie Logan Suite, which is our VIP player suite. It would be hard-pressed for Eddie to imagine that the VIP player suite would be named in his honor, but I think it's a reflection of how we all felt about Eddie.
Yeah, he was a very, very fun, nice man. His wife was with him almost every day until she passed well before he did, and I mean, he was a legend here for many, many years. I mean, when I first started going, it was Eddie Logan and the Clydesdales. And neither are around anymore.
And Eddie's family has certainly been out both for the Eddie Logan Stakes and certainly on various race days as well. So his family is aware that we've named the stakes in his honor. Perhaps they'll be in the winner's circle today. We've got a field of 5, as I mentioned, Aaron, in race number 3. We showed a couple of impressive workouts up to this point. I want to show a workout for the betting choice in race number 3, which is Stark Contrast. It was his effort in the Breeders' Cup last time out on Breeders' Cup weekend. This performance by Stark Contrast, in my opinion, was spectacular, given that his odds were close to 60-1. When we watch this replay, I want you to watch Stark Contrast wearing saddlecloth number 8. Also take note of the opening quarter-mile fraction, 22.20. He was on top of that pace. He had trouble on at the top of the stretch, as we'll see, and still was able to recover and finish a very good second to the post-time favorite, a superstar, so to speak, from Europe, who's probably going to win the Eclipse Award. So rather than, again, you listen to me describe the action, let's listen to Larry Comas describe the action in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf and watch saddlecloth number 8, which will be Stark Contrast.
They're off in the Juvenile Turf. Stad missed the break a bit there. He did not have a good beginning. Hey, Nene, showing early speed. Street Beast is 2, and between them it's Outfielder. It's these 3, and oh, they're flying. These 3 have opened up 4 on the rest of the field. Stark Contrast away running in 4th, moving for that turn. Then 3rd Beard to the outside. Turf Star, North Coast, and Gordon Pass are next. And then Stad, who did not come out of the gate all that quickly. He's 10 lengths behind at this stage. Botas is next, and then Ardisia, followed by Let's Be Frank, and the trailer is Here's Johnny. That first quarter was 22.2 seconds. Outfielder and Hey Nene battling it out up front to half length behind. They've opened up 4 on Street Beast, who's been taken back off the pace now to sit 3rd. Stark Contrast is 4th, Turf Star 5th on the outside. Then it's 3rd Beard, Gordon Pass, and Stad is steadily gaining ground to the outside of them. Stad is now within 6 lengths of the lead as they make their way into the far turn. So it's the top 2 still. Outfielder on the inside, Hey Nene on the outside. They've got 2 lengths on Stark Contrast, who's cut into the gap, and right to the outside is Street Beast. Stad is in 5th, moving wide on the turn, but still well in contention here under Christophe Soumillon. And here comes Stad, moving up quickly on the far outside. They're into the stretch, and Stad has forged to the front. With 1 furlong to run, he's taken charge from Hey Nene. Stark Contrast is next, and then Street Beast. But no doubt about who the best is. It is Stad.
Aaron, Stark Contrast ran his eyeballs out as we continue to watch the gallop out, or if we did, we would have seen that he was dead game the entire way. Bad beat at 58-1 on Breeders' Cup Day if you had that horse. To me, with the scratch of Plutarch, he kind of lays over this field. Do you agree?
He should be very, very tough to beat. His race was really good. As we mentioned, he actually needed room between the 3/16 and the 8th pole, and when he veered inside, he really finished well. He should be very, very tough. I think the horse to catch is the number 1, Brigante. Last time out, he had a terrible trip in the race with Unbridled Time, which wasn't a good race. But this race is going to set up a whole lot differently. There is 0 pace in here. And for those of you who haven't watched Jaramillo ride yet, he is a very, very good speed rider, if nothing else. And I think he's going to be on the lead. It'll be up to Stark Contrast to catch him. And I think they're going to run 1-2. Stark Contrast is just the better horse. So I like 2-1 in the 3rd race.
Race number 4 begins the $2 pick 6, and at least on paper, it looks to be a very good maiden special weight race for 3-year-old fillies, sprinting 6 furlongs on the main track. We've got a field of 10. Take note number 2, Feisty Redhead, trained by Mark Glad. Happy birthday to Mark Glad. He celebrates his birthday. We'll see if he can get a victory, but he's going to have to beat number 10, French Blue from the Bob Baffert barn. 5-2 on the morning lane. Looks to be well bred, looks to have ability based upon the morning workouts. Aaron, we'll talk about who you like in the race first, but I wanted to show a workout for number 6, Tokola, who has 1 start. Blinkers go on today for trainer Ryan Hansen. This particular workout was a gate drill here at St. Anita on December 6th. That's Tokola on the inside. That's Dark Omen on the outside, who we'll talk about a little bit later. But why'd you want to show Tokola's work?
Tokola's work was very noteworthy. As you could see, she broke well. And then Dark Omen had a lot of speed. Then Tokola just came through inside. Now, what's really impressive about this work was the 2nd eighth of the work. She went her opening eighth in 12-3. Then she went her 2nd eighth in 10 and change, which you rarely see. You could see her open up, and she put away Dark Omen well clear. I think Tokola is a filly with a lot of ability. However, I think she's a little bit distance limited, and there are quite a few fillies in this race who possess a lot of speed. Now, in her debut, she ran in a restricted race that I didn't think was all that strong. This is an open race, so it's a much tougher race, and you've got a pair of Bob Baffert fillies to contend with, and as I said, speed both inside and outside of her. I liked her work. I think she can run, but I'm a little bit worried about, A, the pace situation, and B, how far she truly wants to run.
And as we can see on the graphic, you do like the two Bob Baffert runners on the bottom, best in race 4.
Yeah, French Blue has worked well for quite a while. I saw her first at Del Mar and then at at Santa Anita. In her first local work, she outworked Butane, so she caught my eye right away. She went through a little period where she wasn't working as well, and now she's really come around again in her last few works, including work the other day where she outworked a horse named Ma Wu. I think with her outside draw, she should come out running. And when they had this race originally, Tom, Hernandez was named on Cherry Cider. French Blue wasn't in the race. Now Baffert has 2 in there, French Blue with Hernandez. And Cherry Cider is definitely the one to beat. In her debut, she ran very well. She got beat a nose by Lawali, who we've seen come back to run well since and is in the San Ynez over the weekend. They tried her 2 turns on the grass off that race. I don't think she really cared for that very much. She's been freshened. She's back sprinting, and she's probably the one to beat. There are several good first-time starters in the race. I think Feisty Redhead can run some, but I think she probably needs to go further for her best. Lady Detective, I saw at San Luis Rey, and she's gotten better as time has gone on with her works. Grays Over Bays has been fairly impressive in her works. We talked about Tokala, and even Kazazi has run well in some of her races. So it's not an empty maiden race by any means, but I think the 2 Baffert horses stand out. Number 10, French Blue, and number 9, Cherry Cider.
And if you recall in that video we watched with Tokala breaking from the gate with Dark Omen, for those of you paying attention, Dark Omen runs this coming Saturday for trainer Aggie Adonias in race number 4. Pay attention to that runner come Saturday.
Definitely, because I wanted to note about Dark Omen. Since that work, she's come back and trained much, much better, including a work the other day where she worked with a pair of Phil D'Amato trainees, broke off way behind and almost caught them at the wire. I thought that was a really good work. He's in on over the weekend against another horse of Vladimir Serin's named Romantic Ride that he claimed at Churchill Downs. And I think that's going to be a pretty good Calbred maiden race.
We're hopefully giving you winners not only for today, but Saturday as well. Race number 5, we're back on the turf course, this time sprinting. 6 furlongs for fillies and mares, non-winners of 2 other than allowance optional claiming types. Race 5 begins both the 50-cent late pick 5 and the $3 all-turf pick 3. There are now 2 scratches in race number 5. Number 2, Don't Tell Our Wives, has been declared out of the race. And the late scratch just announced, number 4, Marion Cross, also will not compete. That leaves us with a field of 6. Number 7, Gratefully, from the Bobby Falcone barn, shipping in from back east, is the 9-5 favorite. What say you about race 5, Aaron?
I think there's quite a bit of speed lined up in here. I'm About to Go is a pretty quick filly, as is Bits, Tiger, Magic, Tahini, and Gratefully. And I think the race sets up well for the Canadian Vader, Hoshiana. Now, this is a filly that won 3 starts back, going 3/4 on the grass in an A other than, came from way back to win. Last time out, I thought 5/8 was a little bit sharp. She's trained fairly well up to this. Kimura gets the call. He has been aboard in the mornings. And I think with all the speed lined up in here, Hoshiana can make the last run. Of the speed types, I do think that Bits, Tiger, Magic is the one to beat. Her turf sprints are really, really good. She has shown the ability to sit a little bit and finish, and Mike Smith takes the call there. So I'm going to make the race 1-5 in that order.
Race number 6 begins the 50-cent late pick 4, 6 furlongs in the main track. Maiden special weight Calbred, 3-year-olds. Good field of 10. Number 9, Tommy Morris, who has a lot of lick but not much stick, is the 5-2 morning line favorite. However, Lasix goes on for trainer Lee Baraccio, ridden by Edwin Maldonado. Talk to us about race 6, Aaron.
I think this is a vulnerable favorite, Tommy Norris. I've always questioned how far this horse really wants to run. And I think even though he's drawn towards the outside and maybe they can let him sit a little bit, I just don't know if 3/4 is within his scope. The horse I like in here is a long shot, number 3, Benny and the Jet, who's been gelded since his races at Del Mar. He's a horse that's always trained well. In his first start, he got completely left and passed some horses, and that was a good maiden race that day. That was a race that won by Sammy Davis, who I think is going to turn out to be one of the better 3-year-old Calbreds on the circuit. Last time out, he didn't run well. They freshened him. He's been gelded. He's trained much better since the race than he had before the race, and I think there's quite a bit of speed lined up here, and he can make the last run. Positive Times is one of those speed horses. He's been very inconsistent in the mornings, but his good works have been good. His other works have been just okay. I think he's the one to beat, and Ryan Hansen can get one ready first asking. So I'm going to make the race number 3, Benny and the Jet, my top horse, with number 5, Positive Times, the one to beat.
Aaron, any thoughts on the bottom runner, number 10, Red Hot? The reason why I ask is I went back and looked in DRF Formulator. It doesn't show in the printed racing form, but over the last 5 years, when Juan Hernandez teams up with Luis Mendez, they've won 5 out of 13 times. So the fact that they get Hernandez to ride kind of brought my attention to Red Hot. Have you seen his works in the morning, and what do you think of him?
Yeah, the last work, Franco actually worked him. But in his works, his 3/8 works up to a half have been decent. And then when he goes further than that, I haven't liked his works as much. In his last work, he didn't switch leads in the work. I've been left a little bit cold, but Mendez is very, very good with first-time starters, so it wouldn't be surprised with Hernandez aboard if he were to run well. But I just haven't been overwhelmed by him in the morning.
Race number 7 is our second stakes race on today's card. It's the Robert J. Frankel Stakes. It's a grade 3 event with a $100,000 guaranteed purse. We're going a mile and an eighth on the turf course for fillies and mares. Race number 7 also begins the popular $3 late pick 3 with a reduced 15% takeout. We've got a field of 8, including 2 supplements. Both number 2, Willa T, and number 7, Starry Night, have been supplemented to the race at a cost of $2,000. But the morning line favorite is number 1, Public Assembly, who just missed to Mrs. Astor last time out in the red carpet at Del Mar. Is she the mare to beat, or are you looking elsewhere?
I tend to like Public Assembly, but I want to make a point about something that you brought up and I think is really relevant here. This race was drawn twice. It was drawn on the 28th and the 31st. And I think it's extremely unfair that the connections of Willa T and the connections of Starry Night got to see who was in the race first. There was absolutely no speed the first 2 times when they drew it. And because they got to see that, they were then able to supplement. They weren't even originally nominated, let alone anything else. I think it's a really unfair precedent because you should not have the ability to see who is in a race and then be able to enter it because of weather conditions or any other reason. I think that that's really, really poor. And if I had a horse in there, I'd be pretty upset.
Or we could consider them to be good handicappers, because you mentioned, Aaron, they did draw this race before. And to give you an idea of how little early speed there was when they drew it back on December 31st, when the race was supposed to be run, I thought Watchtower, who's in this race, who's number 8 on the bottom, might be the controlling speed in the race. That gives you an idea of how little speed there was prior to these 2 supplemental nominations. Now, of course, rules are rules, and these are the rules, at least for the moment. Given that scenario, do you think Willa T or Starry Night could steal the race, or are you looking elsewhere?
I think Willa T is going to be on the lead. I just don't know if she's good enough. One thing about Public Assembly, she has been in with some very good horses. She generally does need a little bit of help in front of her, but she does also like a little give in the ground. Now, we have had 4 or 5 days since it's rained, so I think the course should be firmed up some. But either way, I think she's the best horse. And as you mentioned, I think Watchtower could get the right trip despite her outside draw. I think she should be stalking in here. Obviously, they're not going to be going very quickly. And I give her a look in this race. So I made the race 1 and 8 in that order with preference to the 1.
Race number 8, we're traveling 1 mile on the main track. Race 8, also begins the popular $5 late daily double, also with a 15% reduced takeout. We've got a field of 9, 2 trained by Bob Baffert, including the morning line favorite number 5, Normandy Landing, 5-2 on the morning line, a lightly raced 5-year-old horse, second off the long layoff. Talk to us about race 8, Aaron.
You know, I didn't really like this race very much. I think Normandy Landing is probably the one to beat. But one thing about him in his races that he did win going a mile, he got a lot of pace in front of him. They didn't finish very well, and he just happened to get up to win in those type of races that I thought really benefited his style. There is some speed in here. I think his barnmate Voldemort's going to go, and certainly Del Mar Jerry's a very quick horse. He probably is the one to beat. I wouldn't take a short price on him, and I didn't have a real good feel about this race. I think Normandy Landing with Hernandez aboard is the main threat, but he's not a horse I particularly trust. I really think Del Mar Jerry's a nice horse. I just don't know if he's going to be able to battle with Voldemort, put him away, and then be able to hold off the closers. But one thing about this horse, since they've stretched him out on the dirt, he has been a completely different horse. He is trained very, very well for Miotti, very untypical Miotti-like works. I mean, off the form, he's got a 58 and change. He's doing well. Maldonado rides. It's going to be interesting to see how Maldonado chooses to ride him, because he is outside of Voldemort. So if they want to let him sit just off him and stock, they can. If they want to just send him, which is probably his preferred style, they can do that. And he's definitely the one to beat. So I made the race number 5, Normandy Landing, and number 8, Del Mar Jerry, but I don't have a real great feel for this race.
Race number 9 closes out the special Thursday makeup card. In race number 9, we offer $1 super high five wagering. We're going 1 mile on the turf course for maiden claimers, $50,000 of the claiming tag. Take out the 2 also eligibles, leaves us with a field of 9. The Maury Lane favorite, number 3, Lorenzo Barini from the George Papadromo barn, 5-2 on the Maury Lane. This race, Aaron, is symbolic of the type of card we have today. And what I mean by that is, as you look through the past performances, a lot of these runners last ran in October or November. So it's been 2 months since we've seen them. And the reason why I bring that up is I think this race in particular, and a few others, including your race, race number 1, it stresses the importance of workouts, because a lot of players are going to look at the PPs and make their own conclusions. But this was back around Halloween time, shortly after the Breeders' Cup. I mean, a lot of time has gone underneath the bridge since that point in time. Workouts, in my opinion, might be the key to race number 9 as opposed to the PPs.
I think there's some relevance to that. I think a lot of these horses that come out of the race won by Empire's Classic are vulnerable in here. I thought that was a pretty weak race for the level, and I'm going to try to go elsewhere. Headed by number 4, Midway Lane, who comes out of an exceptionally strong race. It was a dirt sprint debut. He tried to keep up. He just wasn't quick enough and was outrun. I think 2 turns is going to be better for him. He now tries the grass and takes a pertinent drop in class. Sadler's letting Kyle Frey ride him back. And one thing about Sadler, he is quick to get a horse in the right spot. He doesn't mess around. He doesn't waste races. If he thinks they're a maiden claimer, that's where they end up. And he's definitely the one to beat. I give the outside horse in here, Iron, a look as well. He puts blinkers on. I've watched this horse work at San Luis Rey. He's a very one-pace type of horse. He's never going to wow you, but he is coming out of substantially better races. And if he can overcome his disadvantageous post, I think he's the one to beat. I would play an exacta box here of number 4, Midway Lane, and number 9, Iron, taking a stand against the horses exiting the Empire's Classic race.
Aaron, thanks so much for your time and insight today. It's a pleasure having you on the seminar. Best of luck with your new workout service, SoCal Workouts, which you can find on X, and certainly information on how to describe. Thanks again for the time.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for watching as well. Keep in mind, 2 more wagers to talk about before we cut you loose. That would be the Coast to Coast Pick 5 and the Sunset Pick 6. That's right. Gulfstream Park, our sister track, is running today. And as you can see, the Coast to Coast Pick 5, the $1 minimum with a low 15% takeout. That'll begin with Gulfstream Park, race number 7, 12:23 p.m. Pacific time is when the Coast to Coast Pick 5 begins today. Keep in mind, we have racing tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday this week. 10 races every single day, noon Pacific Post every single day as well. Until then, have a great afternoon of racing, everybody, and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good morning and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. Track is fast, turf is firm. Rail on the turf at 30 feet. Here are the changes. In the first race, scratch the also eligibles 10, 11, and 12. Early pick 5 starts with the first. In the second, start of the early pick 4. No changes. Race 3, scratch 5, Plutarch, and 6, Caro Buono. 5 and 6 are out of the third. The third is the Eddie Logan Stakes. In the fourth, start of the pick 6. Just a blinker note. Race 5 starts the late pick 5 and all turf pick 3. Scratch 2, Don't Tell Our Wives. Scratch 4, Marion Cross. All turf pick 3, late pick 5, starting with the 5th. Turning to race 6. Start of the late pick 4. No scratches or jockey changes. The 7th is the Robert J. Frankel. No changes in the 7th. Late pick 3 is offered. The 8th race kicks off the $5 late double. No changes. And the 9th has super high 5 wagering. Scratch the alsos 10 and 11. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place. Post time for the first is in 27 minutes at 12 noon. Please note, we know it's Thursday, but there is a coast-to-coast pick 5 today, a special one. Dollar minimum wager. Starts with Gulfstream 7th at 12:23. And, of course, the Sunset pick 6 is also on the agenda. That'll be the last 3 races of Gulfstream and the last 3 from Santa Anita Park. Coast-to-coast pick 5, special Thursday edition offered today.